Good morning. My name is Kim Hawk. I am glad to be with you this morning. Many of you know that my husband, Dean, he just calls it knee surgery. He thinks that it sounds like an old thing. He had total knee replacement. Got a new one. He's going to be like wanded when he goes through TSA now. It's going to be awesome. But he's doing great. First service, I was saying how he's been doing awesome. Couple weeks in, though, he finally reached out to the elders and said, "Can you just pray for me because I need sleep?" Didn't know that was a thing, insomnia with this total knee replacement thing, but 2 or 3 hours of sleep's just a night not doing it. So they prayed for him, I guess, because that night was the best he had slept in over 2 weeks. And I said, first service, and I don't know, he may show up. I get out there and he's here. So he's kind of put his leg up and stretch. We're going to be docking your pay for today, so just saying. All right. We are in a series called Pause. Have you enjoyed this? Wow. Every week do you not go, "Oh, that's me." Yeah. That's me too, right? So today is part 5, and it is on margin. I want to tell you that this is something that I have worked on for close to 15 years. Probably the first time I heard about it, Dean spoke about it, and I remember thinking, that's a lot. I am way off base here. So I'm going to be speaking about margin today. And when I hear margin, the first thing I think of, I'm a reader, and so whether it's on a Kindle or whether it's an actual book that I've got, that's what I kind of think when I first say, okay, what's margin? So here we've got John 3, and see the margin, the space around, makes it easier to comprehend, makes it easier to be visual and to read. Yes? Would you agree? Yes. Okay. Now, we've got this same scripture, and what does it look like? It's the same thing, but it looks what? It's almost distracting, isn't it? It's overwhelming. I would even say it's a little chaotic when I look at it, right? It's like I don't even know where to start. I don't know what to do. So I give you these visuals to let you know the importance, maybe, of margin. Now, you have notes. I know you want all those filled in, and I've only got a few blanks for you, sorry. But we'll get to those. But what is the cost of not having margin? What does it cost us when we don't have margin? So the first thing is maybe we're rushed. Okay, would you be honest enough with me to say, this morning, I've already felt rushed. Anybody? Really? Only a few of you? Are you lying? Okay, you're waving at me. All right, so that means like, yes! So you felt rushed. Do you know what I found? I can even be on vacation and feel rushed, right? Rush can be like a state of being. It can be a habit almost. Okay, so I think I got lots of opportunities this week, and so I'm going to tell on myself over and over again, and you're going to be like, boy, she is broke. But Friday's my day off. I'm at the gym and I'm leaving, and there's a two-way, right, area where actually you can even get more than 2 people coming and going or whatever. There's people in front of me, they're visiting, and they're walking slower. Not like stopped, but they're walking slower. Here's my thought. There's someone coming. Okay, I could get around them, not seem completely rude. Then I could like squeeze back in and, right? For what reason? For what reason? So being rushed, it was like, I'm headed to run to my car. It's my day off. Rushed can be just a state of being. Number 2 would be exhausted. Exhausted, maybe just too stimulated. Not just like I'm tired, but like I lay down and I can't turn it off, right? Exhausted. Not even worried, but just trying to find all the answers to the problems, get logical, right? Exhausted. And last, late. Are you someone who's chronically late? Now, I already hear snickering. And so if you just say, I'm just always late, and that's just a thing for me, everybody knows, 2 minutes, 5, 15. Usually no more, all right, 30. I'm usually no more than 30 minutes late. here's something that I observed. I think most kids go to kindergarten and they go maybe all day. When my children were young, it was half-day kindergarten. There was no bus service. Had to pick the little guys up at like 11:30, right? So 11:30 was when there was a line, and you just kind of got in line to pick the little guys up. So this was my youngest, and my friend, I knew what her car looked like because she had one of those cars that had to have a bajillion seatbelts in it. She has 5 boys in 7 years, no twins. And her baby is in kindergarten. My son's in kindergarten, and I go to pick them up, and this is the deal. They get out at 11:30. Okay, this is my mind. They get out at 11:30, then they have to get everybody together, and they have to get them out to the edge, right? Then someone's got to start picking them up. If I get there by 11:35, that's really not late, right? You tracking with me? So when I get there, routinely, day after day after day after day, Jane is in the first 3 cars because she's got a bus almost, right? I totally know her car. Does she not have any more toilets to clean? Because I'm like swishing my last toilet as I'm walking out the door, right? I'm trying to get the last thing and get it through and check myself out so I can go fast, right? I am trying to do all these things. And what I perceived as late, I thought, what is she doing? What a waste, right? What a waste to be third in line every day. It was just, and then there was just that aha moment. I went, I just need to back up. I had no margin. So, Job 3:26. Job is having a hard time. We all kind of know that his patience was tested, but just listen to what he says. I have no peace, no quietness, I have no rest, but only turmoil. I don't think it's a coincidence that he talks about peace, quiet, and rest. Those are the opposite. He's in turmoil. So what happens when we're overloaded in life? Too much activity, maybe even too many choices. Have you been to Thursday night? We were with our small group, and we were at a restaurant, and someone across the table goes, "What are you having?" On page 38, halfway down on the right, there. Have you ever been to a restaurant? What's the other one? Cheesecake Factory. They've got a book, man. You know, it's like page 84, a third way down on the left. I'm getting that. We have a lot of choices, right? Do we have too much work, too much debt, too much media? We're just overloaded. I am suggesting the solution is to put some margin in our life. Let me explain what margin is. Margin is, here's your load. This is the load you're carrying. The responsibilities, the work. Here's your load. And here's your limit. The space between, right? That would be my margin. How many of us, our load and our limit are here, right? So I want to talk to you today about operating at a place that gives some more margin, because margin is breathing room, margin is reserve. Preparing for my sermon, I have a Word document open, but I'm going to send that document to my iPad. And so my margins are different than if I'm emailing Alicia. Or if I'm doing a brochure, my margins are adjusted differently, right? I tell you that because in life, each situation, each season, might we say, might require different margins. You might look back in life and think, hey, when I was in college, when I was in this space in life, I had some margin, but I don't anymore. Or I didn't used to, but I do now. So just remember that they look a little different, but we want to build some space between our load and our limit, which I'm going to call margin. So the benefits of having margin in life, you still don't have to fill anything out. I gave you a buy today. You're not excited. You excited? You haven't even had to use your pen yet. Okay. The benefits of having some margin in our lives, I don't think I need to convince you, but just in case, not hurrying and not worrying, you have peace of mind, right? You have time to think, time to relax. I think I make better choices right? When I have peace of mind, when I have some margin. Let me explain another boo-boo on me this week, right? Don't you love those? I have so many. I had to narrow it down and just put a few in here. It's like, okay, which one? So I usually come home Powers, and I actually was at an appointment and came home the freeway. And I'm supposed to exit at Interquest to go to my house. No lie, I've not told a soul this. I look up and I'm like, geez, none of this looks familiar. And I'm on the freeway doing 75. All right, just so we're clear. This just doesn't, oh my gosh, Baptist Road. Woo! I have blown past several exits, and I'm in Monument. So, I'm just saying, and that's not even normal. That's not my normal path, because all of a sudden, your car just kind of drives itself home. No, I do not go this way very often. There is no peace of mind, I guess, or maybe it's too peaceful. Maybe I'm too peaceful, and my car just goes, she's not paying attention. We'll just keep going. All right, number 2 is better health. Better health. Margin will create better health. Don't wait for a tragedy. Don't wait for the heart symptoms, right? Your body needs some downtime in order to heal. Dean surgeons, that's what's been so frustrating. They say that downtime, sleep, helps your body heal and rest. It's not like get up and do more and then you're going to heal and repair. There's the, now I can tell a story on him. So he had these things he wanted to watch on Netflix. We're not huge TV watchers, but when you got a couple of weeks with a lot to do, and I'm still going to work, and he's trying to figure it all out. So he's watching a documentary on race cars. And this driver, I don't know what it's called, and this driver, and this whatever. And so he grew up going to the Indianapolis 500 on occasion because his family lived there, and his dad was into race cars. So race cars. What I will tell you, I don't know a lot about it at all, is that race cars, they're driving, and while they're driving, they need repair. So what have they got to do? Yes! Take a pit stop, right? They have to take a pit stop and rest to repair, get new tires, get more fuel, right? Get more fuel. There's just no way, or at least they haven't figured it out. All right, I'm still going to go 200 miles an hour. Y'all go ahead and do your repair while I'm moving. That's just not how it works. We're no better. I'm just saying you need to stop and repair sometimes, but you can't do it while you're moving. All right, number 3, stronger relationships. There's a benefit to having some margin in your life. Many of us value our family, but our actions need to match. Relationships take time to listen, to comfort. I'm going to tell you, there are times when Dean and I are both don't have enough margin. And have you done this with the people you're close to? You talk at the same time, because if you'll talk at the same time and listen, it takes about 50% of the time, and you just kind of squeeze in the time to connect. It's not ideal, but especially with our children, but with your spouses, you can't just say, this was quality time. What, that 90 seconds? You're going to tell your 3-year-old that 90 seconds, that friend was quality. Quantity is important too. All right, number 4, makes us available for God to use. When I'm overloaded, I am extremely selfish, only thinking about me. And God can say, hey, give pause. Go over and minister to that person. That person just needs a hug. I try not to hug people in Walmart, but I'm just telling you, you come to church, you're completely fair game with me. But I'm just the little things even. For me, when God sometimes says that, it's like, that's just one more thing on my list. Okay, now I'm going to put it on my list so I can cross it off, right? So, allowing some margin allows time for God to tap us on the shoulder and do something big, okay? All right, now you got your pens out. How to build margin into our life. How to build margin into our life. Number 1, accept our human limitations. Accept. Turn to your neighbor and say, I have limits. Did you choke when you said that? Some of you couldn't even say it. You were like, limits. I have limits. You can't even, that's like saying a cuss word, right? That's like, woo, foul ball. I have limits. Psalm 119:96, to all perfection I see a limit. We all have limits. We constantly overestimate our abilities and underestimate the problems, how much energy it'll take, how much time it'll take. We all do that. How many of you have a list of things to do and it goes just as you planned? Well, back in 78, seriously, we all have limits. We all have human limits. Let me explain them. First, physical limits. You say, well, I'm strong, I work out a lot. Okay, can you swim to Hawaii? Can you go 6 months without food? But the verse, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Well, good luck with that. Can you fly? Do you know what I'm saying? Don't take this out of context. Don't misuse this. We all have physical limits. Because otherwise you're saying, I can do more and take on more stress. I can take on more debt. I can take on more difficulties. And then you're just going to pull the ripcord to Jesus and say, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. That's just a misuse. So the next thing would be emotional limits. Now, this one is harder to judge, in my opinion, or it was for me. I didn't even know that I emotionally had a limit. I think it's been within the last maybe 5 years. I kind of told my testimony and how we went through a time, I think it was about 14 years ago, where we had some tragedies happen with families in the church, much smaller church, and we were kind of doing everything, right? So we were holding some people's hands, and as soon as that one kind of felt like it was a little better, another tragedy hit. Then we were having some difficulties with family. It was just bam, bam, bam. And I had never experienced that I could recall where I needed to realize that I needed some margin and I had some emotional limits. I had no idea. Dean had to point it out. He said, I think we've been doing CPR on others for so long, we're completely out of breath, completely out of emotional energy. So I had to learn how to rebuild and find some margin. Next, mental limits, the mental overload. What you're thinking about. Can't shut your brain off at night. Don't have time to think. I have this new thing I'm trying. When I get into my car, you know how your Bluetooth will usually automatically connect if you've got a car that does that. And I typed in once, and I think Dean had even told me about it, soaking worship. What's kind of nice is it's not like a worship song that I want to sing to, which is kind of good because it just allows me to relax and all. So here's my deal. Okay, I need to get this one done and get this done. And I have this appointment. Hurry, get in the car. You need to get to the, it's like, it's like, play a different note, play a different chord, right? It's kind of amazing. This is how I knew it was good. Dean was in my car. He's not supposed to drive. It's like the first week he'd had surgery, and so he's in the passenger seat. We get in, and it starts going, and like he maybe made it 6 minutes. He goes, you're going to have to turn that. He goes, I am going to fall asleep and fall out of the car. But it is such a good reminder for me as I busy, and then I get in the car, and I hear that, and it's like, okay, soaking worship. This is awesome. Now, there are times where it's like, gonna have to get a little more, but most of the time it's really good for me. We just tend to try to occupy every little space in our mind, every mental little limit. You know you're over your mental limits is when you do what I mentioned earlier, where you loop at night. You have your phone or a pad and a pen near you so that as you think of something during the night, you have to get up and write it down so that in the morning you can remember because you're sure you're going to forget, and you probably will. The point is, Fred, you should be sleeping. Give it a rest. But you can't turn it off. You're looping. Maybe it's worry. That's when potentially your mental limits are taxed. It's too much. All right, what's next? Time limits. Time limits. Some people will save time. Listen, you figure how to do that for the next day and bottle it and push it back out the next day, you let me know. Because you really can't save time, put it in a jar and get it back out. But We have 24 hours in a day, 365 days in a year. And if you've got more than that, you're going to have to let me know because there is a limit on time. And then last, we have space limitations. You cannot be in more than one place at one time. I wish I could be at work but also be with my family, or get this meeting done but have the meal cooked, or there's space limitations. You get to be in one place at one time. So how do we know when we're on overload? There's some pain points. You've exceeded a limit, and I'm just going to be super honest. Here's how I know that I have no margin. I'm irritable. Do not tell my husband. I'm irritable. I know then that it's just too much. And get two people in the same house that are supposed to be kind to each other and that are married, and they're both having that come out and you're both irritable. Friend, there are sparks going, right? Okay. Next, number 2, expect to have interruptions. Expect to have interruptions. How many times do you have unexpected events happen in life? And plans are good. I've got a spreadsheet for that. That's just me, right? Yes, right. Those people who are detail-oriented are like, we could be friends, yes. I have a spreadsheet. I have this and this is going to be done. All my A's are everything that has to be done today. Those are in 1, 2, 3 order. Then we've gone to our B's, right? And then if I don't have it on my list, but I did it, what am I going to do, Alicia? Yes, I'm going to write it on my list so I can mark it off. Yes, that makes me feel good. It's just how I am. And I wish sometimes I could change me. I've tried to change me. I'm going to be more relaxed about it. I don't care, but I do care. I do care. I care. So, you're going to have interruptions. And if you don't plan for them, what's going to happen? I'm disappointed. How many times do you think I'm disappointed in one day, in 24 hours? Because things haven't gone to plan, because I have time to do 15 things, just for instance. But I have 42 on my list, right? I have set myself up to be disappointed in myself today. Oh, I'll just push those additional things to tomorrow, but I've also added 14 more. So I am disappointed again. Look in John 16:33. In the world, it says you will have trouble, not you might, maybe gonna, you will. You need to plan. Things aren't gonna always go. Things aren't always gonna go like you think. You're gonna have interruptions. Almost plan for your interruptions, and I'm gonna tell you, that is margin. That is margin. You will be far less upset. Now, let's just see how many of you are like me. We have an 11:30. We're going to Fuzzy's Tacos. We're at the church, and at 11, I get on my little map, and it says it's 9 minutes, Enoch. 9 minutes to Fuzzy's Tacos. So, how many minutes am I going to allow? Yes, no, I'm going to allow 8 because I can beat that. Right. Somebody, y'all might need 10. No. I need 8. So I'm in an 11 o'clock meeting, but know that I need to leave by what? 11:22, right? Y'all with me? You got the math? Get your calculators out. So we need to leave by 11:22. Now, this is also what I'm thinking. Going to get personal here. I got to go to the bathroom. Okay. If no one's in them, okay. So 11:20, I need to end this meeting that I'm currently in, run to the restroom, get in the car. Heaven forbid someone stop me in between. Are we tracking? Do you do this? Y'all act like you have no idea what I'm talking about, or you feel so guilty. Okay. I do not account for the fact when I get in my car at 11:22, I push the maps, I push go, right? Map it. I'm driving. I'm not walking, Siri or whoever's on that map thing. I'm driving, right? So I get there. Now what happens? It is 12 minutes Someone has had the audacity to have an accident between the church and Fuzzies in the last 22 minutes. Now what? Yes, now I'm late. So when I get there, how do I feel? All the things. Rushed, late, I'm exhausted, I'm disappointed in myself. I've not left any margin. I've left none. Proverbs 22:3. The prudent person perceives difficulties ahead and takes precautions. The simpleton goes blindly on and suffers the consequences. So, I am learning. Maps says it's going to take me 8 minutes. Guess what? I'm going to allow 15 because I value whoever I am meeting. Now, I know some of you are like, you have wasted a good 6 minutes, girl. Right? Is that what you're thinking? That is so hard not to think that. When I get there, I have 6 minutes. Do you know how accomplished I feel? Do you know how much calmer? Do you know how much more present I am at my 11:30 lunch with whoever I've met? All of the goodies, all of the good feelings are present because I've allowed margin. All right, number 3, put space in our schedules. And you notice the first word is put. You're not just going to magically show up, guys. You're going to have to put. Not I'm going to hope it, I'm going to pray it. You're going to have to put some buffer space in your life. You're going to have to put some downtime. It's not a waste, like I just described, to have some empty space, to have white space. You're going to have to schedule family time. You're going to have to schedule a date night with your mate. You're going to have to schedule personal time. You're like, I have no idea what that was. What did you just say? You're going to need to schedule time for you. One of my favorite questions to ask someone, what do you do for fun? You should see some of the looks on people's faces. It's like you cussed. I've had them say, so they stutter. So what? What? So what are you exactly talking about? Fun. Okay, something else. If we have a job post and we're looking for someone online, one of the questions, we have all the spiritual questions, but I always want to put something different, right? Interesting. What's your favorite kind of food? Or, something else. Someone, when you're filling out an application that you're not expecting. What do you do for fun was what I've put before. Yeah, you know how I know that person is probably not going to enjoy working at Rock Family Church? All they can think about is they're still trying to impress whoever's going to be reading this, right? So for fun, we've already had all the spiritual stuff. I spend time with God and read my Bible. So, you know what? When we are joking in the office and we have filled an office with balloons, like you've got to do this to get in because it's their birthday, right? Or it's a new employee. That's our favorite. Someone Posty noted, I don't know how many thousands that thing took. You walked in and the whole place looked green, right? So that kind of thing. You're not going to enjoy us. We're not going to be spiritual enough for you. So what do you do for fun? You need to put that in your schedule. You need to put some space for that in your schedule. Reminds me the story of a little kindergarten girl. She's at home, and her dad often doesn't get his work done at home, and he's brought it home, and so he's had some family time, and he's doing his work, and a little girl comes up, and probably about 5, she says, what you doing? He says, well, sweetie, she says, why are you working? He says, I didn't get it all done at the office today, so I brought a little bit of work home with me, so I'm going to finish my work. Little girl says, you know what, Daddy, I think they should put you in the slower group. I love that story. The fact is, the faster we go in life, the more margin we need. Not just run faster, not just try to find time, spend time. Life is like a marathon and not a sprint. And some of you have been sprinting for weeks and months and years, and you're exhausted. Emotionally, physically, you're exhausted. You need margin in your life. So how are we going to build it? Number 4, we are going to prune our activities periodically. This is our pruning shears. And when you prune something, you are making it more productive in another season, right? So I get we're going to prune some of the dead stuff, right? We've got a dead something. I think I've got 3 plants that didn't make it through the winter. We need to look at that. But you're going to have to prune some stuff. But I'm also going to tell you there is still some green, thriving stuff that you're going to have to prune off your life. It's not just the bad stuff that goes away. There's some good stuff you have to say no to, and that's hard. Now, you know how at the end of the commercial they said it could cause blah, 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 blah. Okay, here's my thing. You cannot stop volunteering at everything at Rock Family Church, or if that's what you're going to prune, I'm not going to be very happy with you when you go to Pastor Preston and say, I can't do that because I just pruned you. Do not do that. Do not do that. Don't do that. But if there's no pruning, there's no fruitfulness in the next season. You're going to sprout new activity branches. Let me give you a hint. Can you fill in the blank? I, in the moment, often say yes. I'm not good at saying no, so I've learned a new phrase. You want me to tell you what it is? Let me consider that, and I'll get back to you. But I am a person of my word. I do get back to them. Give me 24 hours. You can't keep adding and adding and adding without doing some subtracting. Okay? I don't know if y'all liked that one. That's a little much. I get it. Okay. Because pruning can be painful. You're cutting something off, and it can be painful. Okay? I get it. 1 Corinthians 6, verse 12, Paul says, everything is permissible for me, but not everything is beneficial. Everything is permissible, but not everything is beneficial. So, easy to say no to the stuff you don't care to do. I'm going to be moving a piano, yeah, and I'm going to be doing something else. I can't quite think of what that is right now. Hang on, it's going to come to me, right? I can say no to my root canal, right? No, I'm actually not going to be scheduling that right away. So it's easy to say no to that stuff, right? Hard to say no to some of the good stuff. Can't do everything, but you have to determine what is the right thing, and those should be your decisions and your choices. All right, last one. Ready? Number 5, do less and trust God more. You probably already had that one filled in before I ever got there. This is the most important because I'm going to tell you, God can do more in 20 minutes than we can do in 20 years. But I have tried to help God along on many occasions. Let me give you a push. Let me help you out, Jesus, right? But relax, trust God, because He can do a whole lot more and a whole lot faster. A whole lot faster. Look at 1 Thessalonians 5:24. The one who calls you is faithful, and He will do it. Not you will do it. He'll cause you to do it. He will do it. Trusting and listening to Him. I can't tell you the good guilt. We had a series recently on guilt, but the good guilt that I feel when I get home and I think, ugh, I know God was asking me to encourage so-and-so, and I didn't do it. That is a hard pill to swallow. I want to be available for Him. I want to trust God. 2 Thessalonians 3:3. But the Lord's faithful. He'll strengthen. He'll protect you from the evil one. I'm telling you, you're going to have to lean in. You can even be doing something good. Like the Apostle Paul, he experienced some burnout. He was in Asia, and it was kind of interesting because I want to read this scripture to you, and it's not on your notes. It's in 2 Corinthians, and it's chapter 1, verse 8 and 9. You can write it down. And it says, this is Paul speaking. We think you ought to know, dear brothers and sisters, about the trouble we went through in the province of Asia. So he's being a little vulnerable. We were crushed and overwhelmed beyond our ability to endure. We thought we would never live through it. And verse 9, he says, in fact, we expected to die, but as a result, we stopped relying on ourselves and learned to rely only on God who raises the dead. Now, in verse 9, you know what's interesting? It starts with, we expected to die, but we stopped relying on ourselves, learned to rely on God who raises the dead. In other words, if we died, we at least thought he knew he could raise us from the dead, right? Practicing margin in your life can make you more productive. Can we go back to the slide that shows the margin in a page? Here. Get a visual picture of what you need. You need some of this. That doesn't look productive. I think I'm going to get more words on a different page. But you need some of this. You need all of this. Go to the other one. Do you look like this, friends? Do you look like that? Are you a mess? Do you feel chaotic? I am going to tell you, with some margin, you'll actually be more productive. You'll be more thoughtful. You'll be a better partner to your spouse. You'll be a better friend, because with some margin, you're going to learn the pause. You're going to learn the power of a pause and the power of listening, rather than talking at the same time or talking over or trying to think about how you're going to respond before they've even finished because you've got all this stuff coming up. Your life will be so much more full when you grasp the need, and only you can decide where that margin comes, what area of life it comes in. It'll make you better. So we have 7 minutes, and I've purposefully allowed for a little bit of margin. And it's going to surprise you. I'm going to stop talking, and I'm not going to tell you how long until it's done, but during that time, I want you to see if you can quiet your brain and listen to God. Let him show you maybe the areas that you need some margin. Or if you like, I've got lots of time, well, maybe how you use that. So it's going to be quiet, and if you're watching online, we're not done. This is as much a part of the service as the 1 through 5 was. So just pause a minute and let us create a little margin. So you can have your eyes closed if you need to do that, kind of to have less stimulation. You can keep them open, whatever you want. But I want you to listen to God starting now. Okay. Friends, I want you to know that the margin I just gave you was 60 seconds. That was 1 minute. What did you get accomplished in the 1 minute that I gave you, because you came anyway and didn't expect to get out till noon, so I gave you a minute. of margin. How much did you get done just now with Jesus? If I'd have asked you, I think you'd have said, friend, that was about 2 or 3 minutes. That's a long time. But yet we're in the middle of an activity, and you look down and you go, oh my gosh, 20 minutes just left, right? Pausing, giving some time for God, I'm telling you, it's an enormous blessing that will change you. Find some margin in your life. It's not as hard as you think. Go back through. Number 1, accept our human limitations. Expect to have interruptions. Number 2, put some space in your schedules. Number 3, prune your activities periodically. Number 4, but number 5, do less. Trust God more. Because I want you to know something. I have told you I've been working on this 12 to 14 years, and you kind of want to go, and you are awful at that. It's not a one and done. It is a practice. It takes intention. It has to become a habit, and habits are not formed today in this hour you were here. That habit wasn't formed. Maybe you think now's when the work starts. Now's when the work starts. Now's when you go, I'm going to do that quiet 60-second thing twice a day, once in the morning before I get going, because as soon as my feet hit the floor, right, I go to the bathroom, I brush my teeth. You've got your routine? Okay, now we've got a new thing. Set your timer, make your alarm go off, whatever. Give yourself some time in the morning and listen to God. Do it again at night. Maybe just start with that. You'll be more productive. But do not be disappointed, because this is a habit that takes a long time, and then stuff happens and it creeps up, and then all of a sudden, just like me at the gym on Friday thinking, hurry up. I don't even know why, right? Hurry up, I don't know what I need to do, but hurry up, right? It is a state of being that just creeps in and does this, and then you're like, this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. Of everything I said this morning, maybe you're sitting here and you think, that last point, that trust God more, that's the hard thing for me. Maybe you've never had a relationship with Jesus. Or maybe one time you did, but you're away from him. You came to church on a whim, someone invited you, you showed up, you smelled the cookies, whatever. We're glad you're here. Everybody stand with me. If you're here though and you say, wow, of all the things you said, what I know the most in my heart, yeah, maybe I need margin, but what I really need, what I can't do without, is a relationship with God. I've been away from him, or I've never had a relationship, been to church a few times, or all the time, doesn't matter. But that's what I need. We're going to count to 3, or I will in just a minute, but let me explain what's going to happen. Someone near you is going to come, and they're just going to have you repeat a simple prayer of forgiveness. You're going to just dedicate yourself to the Lord. It's super simple, but it's a must. That's the only way to be secure in your relationship with God. Now, when you raise your hand, I'm going to be honest. This church family, they're going to start whooping and hooping and hollering. We get pretty excited when someone comes to Jesus. So, I'm going to set you up and let you know that that's going to happen. We're excited for you. So if that's you and you say, I need a relationship with Jesus today, or I need to start over in a relationship with Jesus today, I'm going to count to 3, and then I want you to raise your hand on 1, 2, 3, lift your hand up if you say, that's me, Kim. I need a relationship. Woo! Thank you, young man. Thank you. Anybody else? That gentleman was bold and proud. It was not this wimpy little, maybe. It was like, yes, I'm in. Amen. Amen.
Thank you for joining us today. I hope you've enjoyed the service. If you live here in Colorado Springs or you're going to be in the city, I hope that you'll come and experience the service firsthand. And for those of you that are enjoying the ministry and you're being fed to on a weekly basis, I invite you to partner with us financially and make an investment into the mission and the vision of Rock Family Church. And lastly, if you've never made a commitment and a decision to make Jesus Christ the Lord of your life, would you make that decision today? Why wait till tomorrow? Why wait till next weekend? I dare you to pray this prayer with me. Would you close your eyes? Would you pray this prayer with me and repeat it? It goes like this. Pray this with me. Say, Dear God, forgive me of all of my sins and mistakes. I believe Jesus died on the cross for my sins. And I invite him to be the Lord of my life. Thank you for loving me and forgiving me. My life is now in your hands. Jesus Christ is my Lord. Amen. Hey, thanks for making that commitment. Will you email us at info@rockfamilychurch.com. Tell us about your new decision to stand up big and live strong for Jesus Christ. We'd love to celebrate with you. God bless you guys. We'll see you next weekend.